All right, let's take a look at the Soviet Union in this game of Axis and Allies Anniversary Edition, looking at the 1941 setup. In this scenario, Germany has gone before you. You are the second country to go. And more than likely, Germany is pounding on your door, hitting some combination of the border territories along here. In fact, they do have enough to hit all three. Well, I'm not counting Karelia. I'm counting Baltic states, Eastern Poland, and then Ukraine down here. We also have to worry about Italy. Italy isn't going to go for a while, but when they do, this is going to be their main avenue if they decide to attack us and not go down here. England's fleet will be a small fraction of what it is right now. This is the starting setup. Now, they might have a little bit more or a little bit less depending on what Germany does and how the rolls go, but they are going to be significantly reduced. When we look at what we have, it is not much. We have a couple artillery, we have a tank to work with aside from all of our infantry. We also have our sub up here. So to start with, we will want to coordinate with England, and if England is planning on building some more navy over here, assuming well, in any case, if England is planning on building new navy over here, we'll want to go ahead and move our sub over there so that both navies will be defending together. England will get a chance to go before Germany makes its move. If England isn't planning on building a navy this next turn, or on their first turn, then we might, if there's something else we want to do with our sub, we can. There isn't a whole lot to it, and we can't block with it in this version, and so at some point early in game we're going to want it to join up with the British fleet. Now as we come over here, you'll want to take a look at the distribution of German forces. If they have vulnerable tanks up in Baltic states or down in Ukraine, we have a nice stack of infantry bordering that, Caucasus as well as Karelia. We can destroy some of those tanks. If they are not weakened, or if there aren't tanks there, if we can easily take those territories back, we might still consider attacking. But if there's just a bunch of German infantry, we don't really want to be attacking into infantry that defends at a 2 with our infantry that only attacks at a 1. If the German offense is congregated here in East Poland, there is not a whole lot that we can do to counterattack that. We have a total of 3 infantry, so unless they've got a couple tanks and that's it, there's not going to be a whole lot we can do. We only have 1 tank that can make it there. So if they're really, really weak, we might hit them there, but otherwise we're probably going to have to leave them alone. What we are going to want to focus on is first getting our infantry forward, but also building infantry on the peripheries so that every step Germany goes, they run into a wall of cheap infantry, and they take more casualties each step until they run out of men, or they just don't have the combination of fodder and offense to really keep going. Now we will want to be adding to our offense way back here in Russia. We may not have a whole lot that we can devote to that cause, but we do want to at least be building up a little bit, whether that's a tank per turn or a couple artillery, or maybe a tank and artillery per turn, in addition to the mounds of infantry we're going to try and build, especially here and here. But if there's some extra also here, and we're just going to slow the Germans down and make them pay for every inch they take, trying to hold on to both of our factories, but especially this one down here in Caucasus that's worth 4. We are going to have to worry about the Italians, and so if we're not paying attention here, this one is particularly vulnerable and particularly valuable to us. So that is what I would recommend as the Soviet Union early on, and then as Germany starts to overextend and England starts to get stronger, and the U.S. may or may not be helping us depending on what they want to do. Maybe they're going after Japan, but regardless, then we're going to be able to start pushing back. But you have to understand that very early on in this 1941 setup, Germany is going to be pushing in. And it's okay if we lose a couple territories. It's okay if it takes us a turn or two to really start pushing back. This is a time game and a space game, and a throwing as much fodder forward to slow them down as possible, and then counterattacking. Having little counterattacks, like I mentioned before, maybe in the south or in the north, if practical. But if it's not practical to do that, space and time can be your ally. Germany's way over here. The further they get in here, the closer they are to your factories, to new units you're putting down, and to the new offense that you're going to be building. Now, really quick, let's swing over this way. Japan has a huge navy. We're not going to be talking about Japan a whole lot in this video. But there aren't a whole lot of, well, I guess there are a couple transports here. They could choose to attack you on the first turn over here, but keep in mind with this setup, they don't control the Philippines. They don't control these money islands down here. They have not attacked Pearl Harbor, which in this case is just the one battleship. So there are a lot of things they need to do. They're not too far into China either, so it's a little unlikely that they're going to be specifically focusing on you. Now, as they look around, they might say, "Oh, I have an extra transport or or an extra fighter or something. I'll go after Russia." And so you could move a couple infantry over here, maybe move some infantry from Soviet Far East down if you are a little bit nervous about that. But aside from these troops that are way over here, I do recommend trying to shift the rest over this direction to try and slow Germany down, just to make sure that you are able to slow them down enough that they don't get to Moscow and threaten Moscow before you're really able to get going. So those are my thoughts on the Soviet Union. Going to take a little bit of a break today, and but I do hope to have some additional videos up before too long.